Harihi Om, Sai Ram, Namaskar, Vandanam, Vanakkam, Assalamu Alaikum, and Sat Sri Akal. Hope all of you are well. We looked at love, peace, truth, right action. So today, the fifth human value of non-violence or ahimsa is what we are looking at. And remember, in the first value that we looked at was love. And I said to you, and I remember saying to you that love as a feeling is non-violence. So when you feel love towards someone, you will never want to be violent with them or to them or against them, right? But non-violence here does not mean in a physical sense, but in a metaphysical sense. So we're talking about non-violence in thoughts, non-violence in words, and non-violence in actions. This is often referred to in the Vedas as Trikarana Suddhi, right? When you are balanced only, you are in harmony only because your thoughts, your words, your actions are all aligned on the basis of non-violence. Trikarana Suddhi, right? So you look at a little story, right? A practical story, right? Now you must understand the moral of the story and what practical application you can extract out of that moral value. So we're talking about non-violence, we're talking about ahimsa, and we're talking about non-violence in thoughts, in words, and in actions. But sometimes, to uphold dharma, you have to fight. So there is a clear right thinking that is going to take place when you decide, okay, can I pick up arms? And certainly, the avatars that have come and gone have shown you, whenever unrighteousness overwhelms righteousness, I will incarnate from age to age to instill righteousness. If that means picking up weapons to reinstate righteousness, I will. And the very Mahabharata was a prime example of how a war had to be fought in order to reinstate dharma, or right conduct. Anyway, so here we have a story of a deadly cobra which lived on the outskirts of a village under a tree. And everyone in the village was scared of the cobra, as many times it had bitten people and they have died as a result of the sting or the poisoning. So one day a few kids from the village were playing in that area, and during the play a ball was kicked hard and then it went straight to the tree near the hole of the snake. The kids knew about the cobra, so none of them dared to go near there. And they had told the adults in the village. None of the village adults also wanted to go there because they were afraid of being stung or being bitten by the cobra. At that time, a Guruji was passing through the village, right? A rishi, and he watched everything that was happening, and he said, "Well, if you want, I can go and pick the ball for you." And the people said, okay, but they said, be careful because there's a deadly cobra there. He will bite you. He's bitten a lot of people. We have had a few deaths and so on and so forth, right? The Guruji went, the Rishi went. I mean, he was an enlightened, he was a jnani, right? As a jnani, he could see, he could understand, and he could communicate with the language that the snakes would understand. Because when you're a jnani, you transcend, human boundaries like language. You can communicate with nature, right? That's why you see in the old movies, animals could talk, trees could talk, all of that thing. It's not an animation. It is something that was existing, is no longer existing because we have changed so much. Nature is the same. A tree was a tree, is a tree, will always be a tree. But a person may change over a period of time, right? So anyway, this Rishi had the ability to speak multiple languages. So he could communicate with nature, he could communicate with animals and everything. So he started to talk, you see, when I say this, many people may not believe, oh, how can the Rishi? But if you watch Harry Potter, that guy was talking he was communicating with cobras, isn't it? In one of the Harry Potter series, he was talking in a snake language. Now that people will believe, right? So this has been taken from the very truthful existence of what used to be many, hundreds of years ago. So he was speaking to the cobra, And, he was asking, well, what is your problem? Why are you, why are you biting? Anyway, come out. I want to see you, right? So the cobra came out. So it was quite long, it was very big, 12 feet long, strong, and a deadly looking animal. And the Guruji said, why are you living this life of violence? Why don't you just stop biting people, stop stinging people? Because nobody wants to hurt you, right? They all just want to come and either pick something up from where it's dropped or something like that. So I want you to promise me that you're not going to bite anybody from now on. So the cobra, said, I'm a snake. It is my nature. It is my characteristic to bite. So the rishi said, I'll give you a mantra, right? I'll give you a mantra. If you recite this mantra and you chant it regularly, it will stop you biting and stinging other people, right? So the cobra said, okay. But the rishi said, if you chant this mantra and you bite someone, you will lose the power of the mantra forever. Okay? So you have to be very committed in your actions. So the rishi then taught the cobra the mantra, and he told the villagers, don't worry, from tomorrow, the cobra is not going to bite anyone, right? And like it promised the Guruji, the rishi, it stopped biting, and people became so used to, the harmless cobra. So everybody became brave now because the cobra has become harmless, right? Because of the cobra's practice, or promise, sorry, not practice, promise to the rishi. So the cobra kept repeating the mantra. What they started to do then, the kids and the people in the village, they started to make fun of the snake. They started to throw stones at it, they started to beat it and all of that. And the cobra faithfully tried to follow the advice of the rishi and didn't do anything, right? And it became so affected by the infliction of all the harm. People were beating with the snake, and some people who had lost their relatives because the snake had came and said, oh, you are the one that killed my son or my daughter or someone, and they were beating it to, till kingdom come. So 1 or 2 weeks later, the rishi was passing by that way again. So he came to the tree and he called the cobra. He said, come, I want to see you. And when he saw the cobra, he said, wait, what has happened? Your body is full of injury. He called out to the cobra and he said, what has happened? Why are you in this situation? You seem to be in so much of pain. And then the cobra narrated the whole story, and the rishi felt so bad for the cobra, and using his tantric healing power, he healed the cobra. And he said, look, I told you not to bite anyone or sting anyone because I wanted you to follow the path of ahimsa or non-violence. But I did not tell you not to raise your hood and threaten to bite, because that is your dharma, to protect yourself. Act of self-defense without causing major damage is very, very practical in this world and accepted. Therefore, it is not adharmic for you to threaten but not to harm, right? So to protect dharma, you should use violence if and when necessary, but try and inflict as little harm as possible. So please defend yourself by raising your hood, and people will think you're going to strike them and they will leave you alone. But if you don't do that, then people will abuse their situation and they will put you in a problem. So the snake, the cobra, thanked the rishi for the lesson, and it was non-violent. It never bit anybody, but it always, whenever people came, it just raised its hood and people were scared. Oh my God, the cobra. So they left it alone after that. What did the Dalai Lama say? The Dalai Lama, very nicely, he said, the ultimate way to solve human problem is through non-violence. And what did Swami? Swami said, help ever, hurt never. And he also said, anger, actually Gandhi said, anger is the enemy of non-violence and pride is a monster that swallows it up, right? And Martin Luther King said, if you have love, right, then you will have non-violence, because at the center of non-violence stands the principle of love, right? And because Gandhi has said so many things about non-violence, and whenever we talk about non-violence, it's always Gandhi that comes out, right? The United Nations actually had declared non-violent day at Gandhi Jayanti, 2nd of October, right? June 15, 2007, United Nations declared the 2nd October as the International Day of Non-Violence in recognition of Mahatma Gandhi. That is why in India and all over the world, 2nd of October is celebrated as Gandhi Jayanti. And as far as the United Nations is concerned, it's the International Day of Non-Violence. Till I see you next time, stay blessed.